Hello, and welcome back to Vitamin for the Soul. I'm your host, Tony Reyna, a life coach, clinical hypnotherapist, and psychology professor. I'm so excited to have you here today. If you're new to the podcast, welcome to this journey of growth and transformation. If you've been with me since the beginning, thank you for being part of this amazing community. Today, we're diving into a topic that touches every single one of us: limiting beliefs. These are the invisible barriers that whisper, you can't do that, or you're not good enough. And guess what? They're lying. They're wrong. So in this episode, we're going to uncover what limiting beliefs are, where they come from, and how to break free from them. You'll learn practical tools to rewrite these beliefs and start living the life you truly deserve. I'll also share a personal story about limiting belief that once held me back and how challenging it opened doors I never thought were possible. So grab a cup of coffee, grab some tea, get comfy, and let's start rewriting those stories. Ready? Let's go. Let's start by really understanding what limiting beliefs are. These aren't just random thoughts that pass through your mind. They're deeply ingrained beliefs that live in your subconscious. They act like filters, shaping how you see yourself, other people, in the world. A limiting belief might sound like, I'm not good enough, or I'll never be successful. Maybe things never work out for me. These beliefs often operate quietly in the background, influencing your decisions and keeping you stuck in patterns that don't serve you. But where do these beliefs come from? Most of the time, they're not even ours. They're inherited. Maybe you grew up hearing things like money doesn't grow on trees, or you're just not the creative type. These statements might have been said by well-meaning parents, teachers, or peers, but over time, they become truths in our heads. Limiting beliefs can also come from past experiences. Let's say you failed at something as a child. Maybe you froze during a school play or struck out in a big game. That one moment could plant the seed of a belief like, I'm not good under pressure. When I was younger, I struggled with the belief that I wasn't a business-minded person. Growing up, I often heard things like, stick to what you're good at, or not everyone is cut out to be an entrepreneur. Even though no one said it maliciously, those words stuck with me. For years, they shaped how I viewed myself and what I thought I was capable of. Here's the tricky part about limiting beliefs. They don't live in your head, they show up in your actions or lack of actions. If you believe you're not smart enough, you might avoid taking on challenges that could help you grow. If you think, I'm not lovable, you might push people away before they even get too close. Think about a goal or a dream that you've had, but you haven't pursued, that you've had, but you haven't pursued. What's the story you've been telling yourself about why you can't do it? Write it down, or just say it to yourself. It's important to name it and to give it a name and to give it action. Here's something I want you to remember. A belief is just a thought you've repeated enough times to make it feel like it's true. But that doesn't mean it is true. And the amazing thing about beliefs is that they can change. Think of your mind like a garden. Limiting beliefs are like weeds. They might have taken root, but with the right tools, you can pull them out and plant something new in their place. Limiting beliefs are not your destiny. They're just a starting point. Once you become aware of them, you have the power to rewrite them and create a new story for your life. Now, how do you know if you're dealing with a limiting belief? Here are a few signs. Number one, you feel stuck. You want to move forward, but something invisible seems to be holding you back. Number two, you're overly critical of yourself. You often think, I'm not good enough, or I can't do this. Number three, you avoid challenges. Fear of failure or rejection keeps you from taking risks. And number four, you always or you use always or never statements. Phrases like, I always mess things up, or I'll never be successful, can be or can signal limiting beliefs. If any of these sound familiar, it's okay, you're not alone. Recognizing these signs is the first step towards change. I want to emphasize this. Limiting beliefs are normal. Everyone has them. The difference between staying stuck and moving forward is your willingness to confront these beliefs and challenge them. Later in this episode, I'll show you how to identify your limiting beliefs, challenge them, and replace them with something empowering. But for now, I want you to sit with this thought. What if the beliefs holding you back aren't true? What could your life look like if you let them go? Limiting beliefs may feel like chains, but the key to freedom is already in your hands. You just have to decide to use it. Now that we've defined limiting beliefs and explored where they come from, let's take a deeper look at how they affect our lives. The truth is, limiting beliefs don't just sit quietly in our minds. They influence our decisions, they shape our relationships, and ultimately determine the paths we take or we don't take. And here's the tough part. These beliefs often operate on autopilot. You might not even realize they're holding you back because they become so ingrained in how you think and act. So let's start with how limiting beliefs influences your actions, or in many cases, your inaction. When you believe something like, I'm not smart enough, you're less likely to apply for that dream job, or start that business, or enroll in a challenging program. Imagine you've always wanted to write a book, but you believe, I'm not a good writer. That belief might stop you from even picking up a pen or opening your laptop. Over time, the dream fades away, not because you weren't capable, but because you never gave yourself the chance to try. Think about a goal or opportunity you've avoided. What belief might be holding you back? Write it down or just say it to yourself. Acknowledging is the first step to breaking free. Limiting beliefs don't just affect what you do, they also impact how you feel. They create a cycle of self-doubt, a cycle of fear, and even shame. So let's say you believe, I'm not lovable. Every time a relationship doesn't work out, that belief is reinforced, leading to feelings of unworthiness. Those emotions then make it even harder to open yourself up to love in the future. It's a vicious cycle. I remember a time when I felt stuck in a cycle of self-doubt. Before I started my coaching business, I used to think, you're not experienced enough to help people. That belief led to anxiety every single time I thought about starting. It wasn't until I confronted that belief that I realized it was based on fear and not fact. Our beliefs don't just shape our actions, they shape how we see ourselves, and that self-perception has a ripple effect on every area of our lives. Limiting beliefs can also have a huge impact on your relationships. If you believe, I'm not worthy of love, you might push people away out of fear of rejection. Or if you believe people always let me down, you might struggle to trust others, even when they're trying to support you. One of my clients once shared that she believed, I'm too difficult to be loved. That belief led her to sabotage her relationship because she assumed she'd fail anyway. When we worked through that belief, she realized it came from a single moment in her childhood, a harsh comment that someone made that she carried with her for years. Think about one of your closest relationships. Is there a belief that you hold that might be creating distance or tension? What would it feel like to let go of that belief? Here's the thing. Limiting beliefs don't just hold you back. They also come at a cost. Every time you choose to believe I'm not good enough or it's too late for me, you're choosing to stay in your comfort zone. And while the comfort zone feels safe, it is also where dreams go to die. I've heard that somewhere. And I love that quote. Staying in your comfort zone is where dreams go to die. Think about someone who dreams of starting a business but believes, I don't have what it takes. That belief keeps them in a job they don't love, settling for less than they deserve. Over time, the frustration builds, not because you weren't capable, but because you didn't give yourself the try or the chance to try. The cost of limiting beliefs isn't just missed opportunities. It's a life that feels smaller than it could be. But the good news is you don't have to stay stuck. Every belief can be challenged, and every challenge brings the possibility of growth. So how do you know if limiting beliefs are affecting your life? Here are some questions to ask yourself. Are there goals or dreams you put off because you don't think you're ready? Do you avoid certain challenges out of fear of failure or rejection? And do you notice recurring patterns in your relationships or careers that leave you feeling like you're stuck? I want you to take a moment to reflect on these questions. If you're noticing a pattern, that's a sign that a limited belief might be at play. Recognizing the impact of your beliefs about blaming yourself, it's empowering yourself to make a change. And change starts with awareness. And now that we've explored what limiting beliefs are and how they impact your life, let's dive into the heart of today's episode and how to break free from them. This is where the transformation truly begins. Breaking free from limiting beliefs is a 3-step process that I call the belief breakthrough path. And it is awareness, challenging the belief, and replacing it with something empowering. Let's take a closer look at each step and how you can use them to rewrite your story. Number 1, awareness. Awareness is the first and most important step. You can't change what you don't acknowledge. Limiting beliefs can operate on autopilot, so the goal here is to bring them into light. Here's a simple way to practice awareness. Number 1, think about a situation where you feel stuck or held back, and then you ask yourself, what's the story I'm telling myself about this situation? And then I want you to write it down. Don't filter or judge, just let the thoughts flow through. When I was writing Becoming, I found myself stuck in the early stages. My inner voice kept saying, you're not an author. Who's going to read this book? At first, I didn't even recognize this as a belief. I just felt blocked. But when I stopped and wrote down those thoughts, I realized they weren't facts. They were just fears disguised as truths. So take a moment right now. What's one area of your life where you feel stuck? What's the story that you're telling yourself about it? If you can, write it down or say it out loud. Awareness is the first step to change. Bring your beliefs into the light is like turning the page in a story. You get to decide what happens next. Number 2, or step 2, challenging that belief. Once you've identified the limiting belief, the next step is to challenge it. This is where you start to break its hold on you by questioning its validity. Ask yourself these questions. Is the belief true? What evidence do I have that supports this belief? You can tell I'm still in school, right? What evidence contradicts it? Who would I be without this belief? Let's say your limiting belief is, I'm not smart enough to succeed. Start by asking, is this true? Maybe you've had successes in the past that prove otherwise. Or maybe you've learned new skills when you put in the effort. Often, you'll find that the belief is built on fear and not fact. Challenging beliefs aren't easy. It takes courage. When I started my coaching practice, I believed you're not experienced enough to help people. But when I questioned that belief, I realized it wasn't true. I had years of experience in teaching, going to school, getting my certifications of hypnotherapy and life coaching. And I'd already helped so many people in one-on-one settings, family members, friends, getting my practice. That realization gave me the confidence to move forward. So let's try this together. Take the belief you wrote down earlier. Ask yourself, is this belief based on fact? Or is it just a story that I've been telling myself? Write down your answers or reflect on them just for a moment. Challenging your beliefs is like peeling back layers of an onion. Each question gets you closer to the truth of who you really are. And step 3, replacing that belief. Now comes the most empowering part. Replacing the belief with something that serves you. This is where you take control of your narrative and choose a story that aligns with your goals and values. Here's how to create a new empowering belief. Start with the limiting belief that you want to replace. Then write down the opposite of that belief, but frame it in a way that feels true and achievable. For example, I'm not smart enough becomes I am capable of learning and growing. Repeat this new belief daily as an affirmation. Write it on a sticky note. Set it in your phone or maybe as your phone wallpaper. Whatever it takes, keep it in front and center in your life. When I reframed my belief about writing becoming, I told myself my story has value and someone out there needs to hear it. I repeated that affirmation every morning. Over time, it started to feel true. And that belief gave me the courage to keep writing until the book was complete and finished and published. So take a moment to write your new belief. Say it out loud 3 times. Notice how it feels. It might feel a little strange, but the more you practice, the more natural it will become. Now close your eyes and imagine yourself living out this new belief. See yourself succeeding, growing, and thriving. This is at the core of what we do in hypnotherapy. What does it feel like to live in alignment with this empowering story of yours? Visualization is a powerful tool to help your mind embrace the new belief as a reality. Replacing a limiting belief isn't just about words, it's about action. Every time you repeat your new belief and take steps towards it, you're rewriting your story and creating a new future. So, breaking free from limiting beliefs is a process, but it's one of the most rewarding journeys you'll ever take. By becoming aware and challenging those thoughts and replacing them with empowering beliefs, you're taking control of your life in a way that's truly transformational. So as we come to the end of today's episode, I want to remind you that breaking free from limiting beliefs is one of the most transformative things that you can do for yourself. It's not a one and done process, it's a journey. Each time you uncover a belief that's holding you back and replace it with something empowering, you take another step towards living the life that you truly deserve. So let's take a moment and reflect what we've covered today. We started by defining limiting beliefs, those invisible barriers that shape how we see ourselves and the world around us. We talked about where they come from, how they impact every area of our lives, and the cost of staying stuck in those stories. Then we dove into the belief breakthrough path. 1, awareness, recognizing the stories that we've been telling ourselves. Number 2, challenging the belief, asking the hard questions to uncover the real truth. And number 3, replacing the belief, rewriting the narrative with something that empowers you. I also shared a personal journey of overcoming limiting beliefs while writing my book, Becoming. For me, reframing my belief that I am not an author to my story has value changed everything for me. And I know the same is possible for you. So what can you do right now to keep this momentum going? Start with one belief. Choose one limiting belief to focus on this week. Use the belief breakthrough path to bring awareness to it, challenge it, and replace it. And remember, change happens one step at a time. So even the smallest action aligned with your new belief can create massive shifts over time. Give yourself credit. Every step forward, no matter how small it feels. Progress, not perfection, is the goal. So if this episode resonated with you, here's how we can stay connected and continue this journey together. Remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button as you never miss an episode. New episodes drop every Friday, and they're packed with insights and tools to help you grow. If you're ready to dive deeper into your personal transformation, I would love to work with you. You can book your free informational session at TonyReynaCoaching.com, all one word, to schedule that session. I'd love to help you rewrite your story and create the life that you truly deserve. If you know someone who's been feeling kind of stuck or could benefit from today's episodes, please share this podcast with them. Transformation is even more powerful when we do it together. So before we wrap up, let me give you a sneak peek of what's going to come next week. Episode 5 is going to be about gratitude. So the power of gratitude, rewiring your mind for abundance. We'll dive into how a simple gratitude practice can transform your whole mindset. It'll even boost your happiness, I promise, and open the door to more opportunities in your life. I'll share practical exercises and personal stories that will show you just how powerful gratitude can be. You do not want to miss it. So remember, your beliefs are not set in stone, they're just stories. And you are the author of your own life. Every time you choose to challenge a limiting belief and replace it with something empowering, you're taking control of that narrative. So, thank you for spending this time with me on Vitamin for the Soul. You have everything you need to create the life that you've been dreaming of, I promise. Take one step or one small step toward this week and know that I'm here cheering you on every step of the way. So until next time, keep moving forward, stay curious, and remember, you've got this.